4 a.m. on Sunday, the 18th of June, 2023, the OceanGate Titan was aboard the Polar Prince ship and left St. John's Port in Newfoundland and set sail 645 kilometers south into the North Atlantic Ocean, heading towards the Titanic wreckage. 5 people were on OceanGate's 2023 Titanic expedition. Pakistani businessman and his son, Shahzada and Suleiman Dawood, British businessman Hamish Harding, French diver Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and CEO of OceanGate and the vessel's operator Stockton Rush. The price they each had to pay to see the Titanic was US $250,000. At 8 a.m., they were in position and began their journey to the Titanic wreckage. The Titan was 6.4 meters long and weighed 10,432 kilograms. The design was unique. The hull was made from carbon fiber and the rest was titanium, and the window was made from acrylic. The Titan was rated to dive to the depth of 4,000 meters, but only needed to reach 3,800 meters to get to the Titanic. According to OceanGate's website, they estimated it would take 2 hours to get to the Titanic, which would be traveling at a rate of 31.66 meters per minute. They had enough oxygen to last 96 hours, however, the trip was only supposed to take 8 hours. 2 hours to descend, a few hours exploring, then 2 hours to resurface. At around 9:45 a.m., the Titan lost all communication to the Polar Prince, the boat that towed them out to the Atlantic Ocean. At this time, they had expected the Titan to be very close or at the Titanic wreckage, 3.8 kilometers down. Once they lost communication, the Polar Prince began their search for the Titan. As the Titan has no GPS on board, it was impossible to pinpoint its exact location. At 5:40 p.m., 8 hours since they lost communication, the U.S. Coast Guard receives an alert from the Polar Prince with concerns for the Titan submersible, as it was due to surface between 3 and 4 p.m. At 9:13 p.m., the Canadian Coast Guard was also informed about the missing Titan and helped join the search. The Titan had a deadman switch to resurface after 16 hours. This would happen whether they wanted to resurface or not. This was because it had bags that would disintegrate from being in the seawater, making the Titan lose its weights and float back up to the surface. With this information known, the rescue teams were being optimistic and hoping to find the Titan floating or just below the sea surface. On Monday, the 19th of June, 1 day into the search, the Polar Prince, the U.S. and Canadian Coast Guard are all still on the search for the missing Titan. Time is running out to find them, as they now only have enough oxygen for 2 days. They started searching in the water using sonar buoys. A cylinder-type object about 91 centimeters long and 13 centimeters wide that are ejected out of aircrafts and dropped into the ocean. Each buoy relays any acoustic information through to the radio transmitter back to the aircraft. They were hoping to hear something that would assure the Titan was still in one piece and hopefully rescue the 5 people alive. On Tuesday, the 20th of June, aircrafts have been flying over the Atlantic all night in the search for the Titan. At 7 a.m., the research vessel Deep Energy arrives and helps for the search of the Titan using underwater vehicles. The U.S. Navy and OceanGate have also joined the search. At 9 a.m., the U.S. Coast Guard appeared on television on Good Morning America and gives an update on the situation, that even though this is a very complex case, they still have hope. At 1 p.m., they gave a further update. They have calculated the Titan has about 40 hours of oxygen left, based on the initial report of it holding 96 hours of oxygen. On Wednesday, the 21st of June, there is a team still out there for the search of the Titan. At 12:18 a.m., the U.S. Coast Guard tweeted an update on the search. They tweeted Canadian P-3 aircraft detected underwater noises in the search area. As a result, ROV operations were relocated in an attempt to explore the origin of the noises. Later information was released that these noises were described as banging sounds. The search teams were feeling optimistic, but the Navy still needed to analyze the noise, making sure that it is indeed coming from the Titan. On Thursday, the 22nd of June, 2023, the oxygen on the Titan has run out, which unfortunately meant that the lives of the 5 passengers were lost. At 11:48 a.m., the U.S. Coast Guard tweeted that an ROV discovered debris 1,600 meters from the Titanic. When investigating the debris, they concluded that the vessel had imploded in the ocean depths, which tragically meant that there were no survivors. Having imploded at these depths would have happened in the 20th of a second. It would have been so quick that the passengers would not have suffered. It would have been painless and over before they could blink. At 3 p.m., OceanGate has made a statement to the public that they believe all passengers on the Titan have sadly been lost. So how did this happen? How did the Titan implode? Let's rewind to before the Titan went into the ocean to explore the Titanic and go back to the facts that we know. OceanGate is a company founded in 2009 by Stockton Rush and Guillermo Solon. They are based at Everett in Washington, and the company builds submersibles for tourism and exploration purposes. Stockton was married to Wendy Rush, who was a descendant of Isidore and Ida Strauss, who were first-class passengers on the Titanic and tragically died on the ship in 1912. Stockton has always had a passion of the Titanic and had always wanted to explore the great ocean depths. OceanGate has been operating deep dive expeditions since 2009 and has had more than 200 dives between all three of its submersibles. Out of the three submersibles, the Titan was designed to dive the deepest with a depth range of 4 kilometers. The Titan made it to the Titanic wreckage first in 2021 and again in 2022. During this time, the Titan made it to the Titanic 3 times before its last voyage. A former passenger went and reviewed the OceanGate Titan in 2021 for a project they were doing. They went in for the shakedown dive, and they did this to decide whether they were going to use this submersible to film their show. After the practice dive, they decided not to go ahead as it did not seem safe. There were too many red flags. But the main red flag was that there was no benchmark to compare it to. The Titan's design was unique, and there are not a lot of models like this out there. They just didn't seem to have enough factual evidence that the submersible could handle such deep dives. It wasn't made from the usual titanium and steel, it was made from carbon fiber and titanium, which is why it can hold 5 passengers instead of the standard 2 to 3. Carbon fiber is a very strong, and in some ways, can be stronger than many metals. However, there are questions about its fatigue, and how it can perform in these deep-sea pressures, and even how it would handle the cold temperatures. There just wasn't enough information about carbon fiber submersibles. Another red flag about the Titan was that it didn't have a GPS or black box, so couldn't be tracked or located during the dives. It is already very hard to communicate at that level of depth, but it is possible. The communication the Titan had with its mothership was only through text messages, which it was supposed to give updates every 15 minutes. The submersible was controlled by a Logitech video game controller, which gave off some concerns as it looked cheap and as if they were trying to cut corners. Even though many submarines use remote controllers, they are more advanced than what the Titan had. Another safety concern was that the only way in and out of the submersible was through the hatch. However, this was bolted shut on the outside and could not be opened from the inside, so even if they surfaced, they had to be rescued, otherwise they would have suffocated. The Titan was not certified nor was inspected, so therefore did not meet the qualifications for a deep dive. The acrylic window was only rated to go to a depth of 1,300 meters. It was not rated for their aimed depth of 3,800 meters. And when this danger was brought to the CEO Rush's attention, the employee with the concerns was fired, and matter was dismissed in 2018. Another concern was that they were not doing any stress testing on the materials on the submersible, so they had no idea how many times the Titan could go to the Titanic safely before the carbon fiber and titanium began to fatigue. In previous dives, passengers even heard cracking noises that only got louder the further they dove up till 3,650 meters. The Titan used a real-time monitoring system, RTM, which supposedly alerted the staff if the hull is compromised well before the situation became life-threatening, and therefore they could resurface safely. However, there were worries about if the monitoring system could even pick up concerns in a timely manner, or if it would be too late. And as they could only communicate through text messages, if they needed assistance, there wouldn't be much anyone could do. Even from all these red flags, 5 people took their chances and paid for their ticket to go see the Titanic. Whether they knew these facts or not, they went to the Titanic knowing that there were risks, and it was not 100% certain that they would make it back alive. We now know that the Titan imploded at around 9:45 a.m. Whether they were at the Titanic wreckage or just about to get to it, that is not known. However, the Navy has a device called the Integrated Undersea Surveillance System, which is used to detect enemy submarines. This device picked up noises consistent with the Titan's implosion around 9:45 a.m. on Sunday the 18th. So as far as we are aware, the military already knew the Titan imploded and the 5 people were dead on Sunday morning. So why were the U.S. and Canadian Coast Guards and Navy on a rescue mission? Were they giving us false hope? Or did they not want to alert the media of the implosion until they found evidence? And if they knew that the Titan imploded Sunday morning, what was the banging noises that the aircrafts picked up? There are a few theories out there about why the sub imploded, but the two that keep circulating is that the vessel just imploded without any warning, which could have been due to descending too quickly or the fatigue on the submersible from the previous trips down to the Titanic. Or their RTM system picked up that something was wrong and they tried to resurface and either didn't act quickly enough or there were malfunctions which resulted in not being able to resurface quick enough that led to the implosion. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.